And now for a very special bonus program. Uh, Sampson, the the tiger book, the story behind the masterpiece. Um, the story behind Sampson, the the tiger the tiger book has become an instant Disney classic filled with color and beauty, and has been told through dozens of wonderful languages
Sure.
and unique paintings that have never been before seen by the public. Please join us as we celebrate the making of this wonderful Walt Disney masterpiece. When Edgar Rice Burroughs first started plans for a Walt Disney feature presentation of Sampson, the tiger book, in 1925, he realized that there was more to his short stories than any of the other short that any of the other classic Disney features in Walt Disney's fairy tales. In the late 1930s throughout the 1900s, Walt Disney, played by my dad, who will explain to you how Edgar Rice Burroughs, who had created the Tarzan short book stories, will tell you how he created Sampson, the tiger book series, in the late 1920s throughout the 1915. And here's Walt Disney, played by my dad, who will tell you about Edgar Rice Burroughs' short stories about Sampson the tiger book short stories in the late 1915 through the earliest of the 1920s. So here's Walt Disney, played by my dad. Walt?
Yes, Victor.
Actually, it's Corey Burden.
you're Corey Burton. Boy,
Ye-
you look a lot like my son Victor. Wow. Huh, interesting. Yes, I like to call him Herb, not Herb, but Herb. And that's not like an herb that you eat. It's Herb, E-R-B. Those are his initials, Edgar Rice Burroughs. Anyhow, Herb and I go way back. We actually grew up together in Evanston, Illinois. And not to be confused with Evanston, Indiana, no. And ever since he was a little kid, he used to like playing with cats and dogs and whatnot, and then he got to be a pretty good artist and a storyteller, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden you had Sampson the tiger, his own creation. Herb created Sampson the tiger, and he wrote a little short story about it that he did in grade school. And then he wrote more about Sampson throughout his school career, and he got so good at it that when I became world famous, I called him up and said, "Hey Herb, how would you like to make a movie about Sampson? You know, you've written all these beautiful books, let's make a beautiful movie." And that's how it happened.
Through the earliest of the late 1800s, throughout the late 1700s, supervising animator Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson were both to team up drawing Sampson the tiger to beautiful colors of animation. Here, in a never before seen drawing test animation, here to talk about first how the background drawing was completed throughout the late 1700s. Here is Frank Thomas first, played by my dad, who will give you a sneak peek of how he was able to draw Sampson the tiger on a piece of paper and make him come to life like never before. Frank, please tell them the demonstration you had when you drawn Sampson the tiger, when you drew him and you brought him to magically to life on a piece of paper.
Okay, Corey, I'll be happy to tell them exactly what happened. First of all, when you're 250 years old, as I am, and have spent all of your adult life since age 18 in the motion picture industry, even before the motion picture industry got started, you learn very well how to draw, because the original films were really just one drawing after another with just the slightest little change, and then they would be spun around so that you'd see them in kind of a blur, and the character would move. And that's how we did it before videotape and canned films and 35 millimeters and all that stuff. So, when I was asked by Mr. Disney to put together some drawings that would make Sampson the tiger come to life, I knew exactly what to do. I made 572 drawings with just the slightest little change, and I went from Sampson the tiger lying in the grass watching a beach ball to Sampson the tiger jumping out of the grass and onto the beach ball, and made him come to life. I sure did.
In the earliest of the 1940s to the earliest of 1941, Ken Anderson, who developed the characters, who did the speaking voices for the characters before Ollie Johnston could do a short sequel drawing of one of Sampson's friends named Earl the tiger. Here is Ken Anderson to tell you about some of the all-star voice cast that Walt Disney chose for each one of the characters for Sampson the tiger book from Walt Disney Pictures. Ken?
Well, thank you for having me on your program, Corey. This is an honor to be here. But I couldn't help but notice that your production staff over there behind the camera is pointing desperately at their watches and reminding us that if we're going to get this on YouTube, we're going to have to shorten it up. So I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about the voices, and then maybe you'd be kind enough to do a couple of voices yourself, because I understand you're pretty darn good at it. So anyhow, we had Tom Hanks play Sampson.
And could you tell our studio audience, Ken, about why Walt wanted Tom to do the voice for Sampson the tiger?
Sure. Mr. Disney thought that Tom Hanks had the perfect voice for Sampson. Plus, at the time we were making this film, Tom Hanks was the #1 draw at the box office. So Mr. Disney, being a very bright businessman, knew that if he had Tom Hanks doing the voice for the lead character in the movie, that just about everybody in the world would want to see the movie.
And what about some of the voices for Sampson's friends? Like, say for example, the voice of Earl, the tiger.
Yes, well,
Who did Walt cast for the part of Earl?
well, this is actually pretty funny, but we were sitting around, Mr. Disney and I, trying to come up with the names of some good voice actors that might be able to play Earl. And I jokingly said, how about James Earl Jones? And Mr. Disney looked at me and he took off his glasses and he said, brilliant. So Mr. Disney picked up the phone, called James Earl Jones and said, would you like to be the voice of the supporting actor Earl the tiger in my next movie? And Mr. Jones said, of course I would, Walt. We go back a long ways. Anything for you, big fella. And that's how we did it. So tell me, Corey, I understand that you actually are pretty good at doing voices. Thought you might be interested in becoming a voice actor yourself.
Yes.
Could you do one or two for us on this show to wrap it up?
Yes.
Okay. Who are you going to do?
I'm going to do the voice for Thumper the rabbit.
Okay.
From the Disney cartoon film of Bambi.
Okay.
I'm thumping. That's why they call me Thumper. That's why they call me Thumper.
He thumps with his back foot like that.
Yeah.
I've seen him do it. It's a hoot. Yeah. Very good. Could you do another voice?
Sure.
Okay.
This time I'm gonna do the voice of Mufasa.
Oh, one of my favorite characters.
Look, Simba. Everything the light touches is our kingdom. A king's time as ruler. Rise and before's like the sun. One day, Simba, the sun will set on my time here and will rise with you as the new king. And this will all be mine, everything but the light touches. What about that shadowy place? That's beyond our borders. You must never go there, Simba. But I thought a king could do whatever he wants. Oh, there's more to being king than getting your way all the time. There's more. Oh, Simba. You see, everything leads together in a delicate balance. As king, you need to understand that balance. From the crawling ant to the leaping antelope.
Wow, Corey, that was amazing. Very nicely done. Okay, I see we have to wrap this up. So thank you for having me on your program. It was an honor to be here, and I can't wait to see this film.
Yes.
Okay, we did it. That's a wrap, folks. Boom.